Okay, boys, here we are with my RS-BX808. Like when I got this, I took a quick peek inside and just decided it was fine. You know, I never actually did any service on this, and now I just want to make sure everything is actually fine. So because like I don't know, I just like to know what's happening inside my decks, and it's working fine, but I don't know when this was greased last. I know people have been in here, but I'm thinking like if it is the people that were advertised to be in it before me, I trust their judgment a lot more than mine. But at the same time, I'm gonna, like, the mech is coming out and it's getting the usual treatment. I'm re-greasing it, oiling everything, making sure, because this one does have a belt, making sure the belt is fine. Okay, why is this not coming off? Come on, boy. Here we go. Okay, lid is off, so we took out the screws. Okay, let's see what we have in here, what we need to unplug. Also, sorry for bad angles and stuff like that. Alright, here you go. Also, if you see these and you know what they are, you know who's been in here before me. And why I trust that with this, this should be in good condition. But at the same time, as I said, I have my fixations and stuff, and yeah. Okay, so unless you know the ones with the mechanized door, don't forget to take out this screw here. There we go. And now it should just be the ones on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take these out. So I'm going to try and do this video as quick as possible, because I notice I ramble a lot, even like with my last video, the one I did on that dictaphone. That video is like an hour long, and it should not be an hour long for that. I'm going to try and speed things up. I don't know, I'm thinking I should maybe try at one point like just speeding up for parts and narrating them in post. Maybe that would be quicker, but I don't know. You just have to experiment and see. Okay, what do you guys think? Did I miss something? Nope. There we go. You can put this to the side. We'll actually, I don't even know if I don't think I have to look at that, because as I said, the deck works well. It doesn't have a problem. It's just I like, oh, of course, I'm not very smart, am I? I forgot this. Which way was it to open it? Is it this way? Is it? Other way? Come on. I don't remember which way I need to rotate this in order to get the door open. Okay, it's this. So it's counterclockwise, just in case you need to do this like to open the lid, and you forget to do it while the deck is in. Alright, so counterclockwise. Okay, what did we have to do here? Okay, so we're unplugging these. That's one. That's two. We've got the small one for the motor. That's okay. That's in there. That's in there. And then we've got this one. This one's an extra because it's for the door. Okay. And now not sure, but yeah, let's just go for the regular suspects. These 4 screws. Pretty tight in there. Not a big fan of that. Okay. Especially since I know people have been here before. Maybe Maybe the mechanism has never been opened, but again, I doubt that. Right. That comes off. Let's see. Are we lucky? Yes, we are. Ah, come on. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I think it's a good thing I took this out because the grease here looks a bit oldish. Yeah, and somebody has definitely been in here. I can see he adjusted this. Used this weird ass nut. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with any of that, I hope. Actually, I'm trying to figure out, like, is there a way I can take this out without having to take that? See, this is what I don't like about these dual capstan things. In order to adjust like the tape path, everything in here is screwed. See? So yeah, actually I'm not gonna be able to re-grease this because I can't take the head plate out. I don't want to take the head plate out because I definitely don't want to have to do alignment. And this deck is aligned pretty well. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna take out the capstan and you know, lube everything in there, make sure everything is fine. Because that's the thing, this has a bit of a motor noise. I don't know why. We shall see. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And yeah, I think we need to move to the workbench from here. Let's go. Okay, so I'm taking out the connectors, like all the wires for the motors. And now I'm unscrewing pretty much the motor from the rest of the mechanism. And I'm putting a bit of oil in the bearing of the real motor. All of the bearings in this deck were very, very dry. And I'm just working it in. I'm taking the belt off. It's in surprising condition. I'm gonna wager it was changed at some point. Yeah, here I'm just pouring some isopropyl alcohol into the bearings. These bearings were very, very dry as well. There was like no oil in them at all. But just to make sure that I clean as much of the as much oil as possible, I'm just putting some isopropyl in there, cleaning the back bearings of the flywheels. These were really dry as well, and the grease that was on there was not in good condition. As you can see, the Q-tip is fairly dirty. Here I noticed that there's some solder on the motor coils. It looked like it was splashed in there. I'm gonna presume this was from when it was assembled in the factory, but at the moment I was hoping that that was maybe the trouble, the cause for that noise that I kept hearing. So yeah, I'm cleaning it with a bit of alcohol here as well, just making sure I get any kind of debris of those coils. mixing some more alcohol in the flywheel bearings. And here I decided I'm gonna take the sensor off as well, to give me better access to the actual capstan bearing. While I had it out, so I also gave it a bit of a clean. Then just a paper towel and isopropyl alcohol. And I'm putting a little screw back in, just to keep it all together. Yeah, now I took the cam out, and here is where I noticed that this grease was also in a pretty poor state. And so I decided that I will clean this as well, although at the beginning of the video I said I would not change the grease in this mechanism, because I don't want to mess up the alignment, which is pretty good. But yeah, when I saw the condition that this was in, I said it would be better to just replace as much of the old grease as possible. And that's what I'm gonna do here. Again, I'm not gonna take out the head assembly or anything like that, because I don't want to mess with the alignment, but everything else, you know, if I can get to it, I'll probably relube it. I'm just trying to get in there as much as I can. It's not very convenient trying to work under pinch roller arms and everything, but it's a lot more convenient than trying to realign this. Here's the grease I'm using. Sorry, also for the focus here. I didn't realize it wasn't gonna go back into focus. It will return at some point. So yeah, I'm pretty much greasing all of the surfaces that I took the old grease off. Okay, here I'm using some isopropyl to get rid of the grease on the cam. Looking back at this, the best course of action would have probably been to just take this to the sink and give it a very good clean with some dishwasher detergent. Probably how I'm going to attack this kind of issue next. Well, on a different deck, this one's already cleaned up. Here I'm using some compressed air to just get rid of the alcohol from the cam, because you do not want any alcohol in there messing with the new grease. Make sure you put grease back on all the places you took it away from. Especially don't forget that little black pin that connects the cam to the solenoid. And also on the cam, just make sure you put grease back in the places it's gonna actually come in contact with other parts. Don't be stingy with the grease, but also like don't cake it on. You don't want it falling out and contaminating other parts of the mechanism. I don't know what that was or where it came from. I didn't see any place in the mechanism where that was supposed to be, so I didn't put that back in. Also, when you put the cam in, make sure you put it back in the correct position. It's only got like one position that is correct, so make sure that's where it is. If unsure, just double check the service manual. Make sure you don't put it in the wrong position, because that might mess things up, even break stuff. Here I'm just rolling some tissue, which I'm gonna use to try and clean the bearings out. Just stick it inside the bearing and drench it with alcohol pretty much, and just roll it around to make sure you get as much of the residue that is in there as possible. But also make sure you don't force anything in there, because you might end up with bits of tissue left in the bearing, and that's definitely not good. Yeah, just keep adding alcohol to it. Just slowly take it out the other side if possible. I'm gonna do the same for the other bearing. Okay, so here I'm using pen there to push any debris out of the bearings. You definitely don't want anything left in there, be it debris or alcohol or anything like that. Again, alcohol and lubricant do not mix. And here I'm just cleaning the flywheels. Make sure you get everything. You don't want any residue of the oil, the old oil or grease or whatever was in this bearing to mix with the new. So get it as clean as possible. Okay, so here I'm just putting oil in the bearings. This is watch oil. Different people recommend different things. Some say that synthetic compressor oil, a special type of synthetic compressor oil, is the best to use in these applications. I would not argue against that, but at the same time it was difficult for me to try to acquire something like that. So another large part of the repair community says that watch oil is appropriate for this, and I've been using it for about 3 years now, and none of the decks that I've used it on before have developed any issues because of it. So far so good. So I'm gonna use that until maybe I get something better, but it's really good for this, as I said. I'm making sure I'm getting oil everywhere. Just cleaning off some of the excess. You want things to be lubricated, but you don't want it to pool around, you don't want it dripping everywhere. And here what I'm doing is I'm slowly working the capstan back in, because the bearing has a groove inside where it keeps the oil. So if I were just to push it in, it would take out a lot of the oil in that groove. So by working it in slowly, I'm just trying to keep as much oil in there as possible. And as you saw, my main capstan just decided to take a walk because I wasn't holding it in. You should try to avoid that. Here's the belt. So I'm cleaning the belt up just in warm water, not hot, just warm. and using dishwasher soap or detergent, whatever you want to call it. Just make sure you kind of scrub it with your fingers. As I said, this belt is in really good condition. I see no reason to change it. So yeah, just to give it a good clean like this, and it will be good probably for a long time. It also looks like it was changed at one point, because I don't see how a deck of this age that has obviously seen quite a bit of use would have a original belt in such good condition. And then I just put it on a paper towel, and I just pat it to dry it off as much as possible. Just make sure it's totally dry when you put it back in the deck. Yeah, here I realized I forgot to put the sensor back in, so that has to go back in. Putting a bit more oil in, since it fell out once and now I took it out to put the sensor back in. Might as well just put a bit of extra oil in there. Taking off the excess with a paper towel. And now I'm just gonna clean the flywheels with some IPA. Just in case there's fingerprints or who knows what other remnants of grease on it. It's just good practice to clean everything up before you put the belts back on. And here I'm gonna struggle with this belt. I don't know why, but it did not want to cooperate. And as you can see here, I dropped it on some grease, and we can't allow that. So, and it went for another wash. It's been dried, and now I'm gonna try again. Very stubborn belt. It finally decided to cooperate. So now, just because of that, I'm just gonna clean the inside of it with a bit of IPA just to make sure everything's fine. Okay, here I'm putting some grease on the back bearings. And the motor goes back on. Again, hold the pinch roller, not the pinch roller, hold the capstan from the other side when you do this, because it's got a very powerful magnet on the back, and it gets attracted to the back plate, and it's gonna fly out of your bearing, and you don't want to do that. So just hold it from the other side when you put the motor back in. Okay, here I'm screwing everything back up. Always do it in a cross pattern. Don't tighten everything up before, like, don't tighten screws up before you got all of them in. That's usually good practice. Trying to get some of that excess oil from the wheel motor. Well, winding motor. Okay, connectors are going back in. And here I'm just putting some PTFE washers onto the capstans. Here I was trying to squash one out to make it a bit tighter for the take-up capstan. I don't exactly know the technical name for that. Yeah. Also, that PTFE, those PTFE washers that I use, it's just Bowden tube from 3D printers, just cut up, sliced into little washers. They do the job pretty well. If we can put it back together now, I'm sure we'll manage, but let's see. So I need to drop it in here first. Make sure we don't catch any of the wires. I don't like the sound of that. What fell in there? Oh? Oh great. It's a piece of plastic that just like fell out. Where the hell does this go? Oh no. No, actually no. I was just gonna say don't tell me it's the door. But it's not. Or? Nope. What was that from? It's obviously gonna be from the door opening mechanism. But what is it? It's not the same plastic as this. It looks like it's the same plastic like this is made from. Oh, wait a minute, was it one of these guiding pins? But where did it go? It definitely was one of those, but I don't see. Let me get a better light. Don't you just love brittle old plastic? Everyone does. Oh, okay, I see where it's from. It's from right here. What the hell did that do? Oh, it just held part of the decking plate. Yeah, see, this is why I totally hate about this. Like when people go in and work on these things, you see that, like where the screw is supposed to mount, like this, how it's all cracked. Yeah, that means whoever put this, well, whoever was in here, or at any point somebody was in here, and when they put the screws back in, they didn't back them up. Like they just went in and forced the plastic, and that's what cracked it. You know what this means? This means I have to glue them back. But first, let me check and make sure that that wasn't like that piece of plastic. Where is it? Come on. Yeah, whatever. This wasn't the important part. And I don't think it was necessarily, because there's still one guide in there and also the screw, so this should be fine. But I'm gonna put this in anyway. Oh, okay, so it was supposed to go in here. It was a guiding pin for this. So honestly, non-essential. Yeah, because this stays in place perfectly fine, and then when you get the screw in there as well, like it's not gonna be any. And this goes there, so this is not an issue. Okay, and this. Yeah, it'll be fine. But I don't like the whole plastic situation here. I'm thinking I might have to do some epoxy work, I don't know how you say it, on this. Just put some around it. Try to make sure it doesn't totally break off. Yeah. I really don't like it when people do this, but what can I do? Oh, okay, I guess get back to the workbench. Okay, so here I'm just trying to clean the plastic off with some IPA, trying to get as much grease and debris out of it as possible before I try to epoxy it. Because if the surface you're working with is not clean, then the epoxy will not stick to it. Normally I should have also roughened it up with like some sandpaper or a blade or something, you know, just scuff it up so that it catches, like the glue actually catches better to it. But in this case I figured just clean it with IPA, it should be enough. Also, this plastic is like, it held even before, it's just I'm trying to stop it from degrading further, sorry. And I just decided to give it a bit of a clean since I was in here. Here I'm just using some masking tape as a mixing tray. It's really convenient, and a toothpick to mix the epoxy. I'm using 2-part epoxy. The brand is irrelevant. This is just what I had on hand. As always with epoxy, just make sure you mix it as well as possible. You don't want parts that only have a hardener in it or just the rosin or anything. You just have to make sure everything is right, because otherwise it will not harden up correctly. So take your time mixing it. Okay, we're back. The epoxy has dried. I hope. Well, it's as dry as we're going. It's been almost 24 hours since, so we should be good on that front. I have to remember which way this went in. Well, obviously it's this way, but which one was the first one to go? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was this. Okay, so it's the eject mechanism first, and then we get the actual mechanism in. This could do with a drop of oil. The pins for the pinch rollers. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to get the pins out without actually having to take the whole pinch roller assembly out. I don't know how successful this is gonna be. Probably not very. Yeah, they could do with that. Okay, so let's see. I have to push the pins from the other side. Oh, okay. Let's see, will I be able to actually get it out of here? Slim chance, huh? You know what, let me get some tools. Okay, so I got my other tweezers. Let's see if I can push the pin out just a bit more. I've also got some pliers there, so if need be, that's what we're gonna work with. Yep, the need is. So yeah, let's try and get this out. It's not gonna be fun. Ah, of course it went back in. Okay, never mind. Let's try it again with the tweezers. I'm sorry I can't get this on camera quite right, but it's. Okay. Yeah. Come on, buddy. You can. There we go. It does not want to go this way. There we go. Pin is out. Get the pinch roller out. Give this a good clean. Yeah, that's kind of dirty in there. Pinch roller is in an okay state. I'm not going to want to replace this anyway. Alright, let's get our alcohol and cotton buds. Let's get in there a bit. Because now that I have it out, I'm also going to clean the arm as well. See, this is the deal with working with these things. It's always more than what you initially think you're going to have to do. Like in this case, it would have been a pity to, since I already took it out and like I re-greased most of it and stuff like that, it would be kind of a shame to not take care of the pinch rollers. Okay, there we go. Let's the small one as well. Again, it's hard for me to put this on camera because I have to hold the mechanism, push the pin through, make sure I don't drop it or break stuff. Will this one come out? Probably will if I can actually touch it. That's the thing, it's like a difficult angle as well, it's not very easy. And I can't put too much force on it. Okay, I think I got it out a bit. Okay, apparently that was enough. Let's take the pin out. The pinch roller out. Also, I want to remember which way these went. Okay, so the little grooves are towards the mechanism. and this one. Alright. Okay, this is not an original pinch roller, by the way, I can tell. The original one is black, and that's the case on all of these decks. But it seems to be doing a good job, so I'm not gonna argue. Clean that as well, the guide. Okay, and for these, because I'm gonna clean the pinch rollers now as well, just drench them pretty much in alcohol. And I'm sorry, I'm not really wary of where the cam is. I should pay more attention, but it's hard when I'm trying to also focus on this. I keep trying to think of ways to improve the quality of these videos and make them shorter, but it's just I can't make them shorter. I could if I just skip on steps and stuff like that, but then what would be the point if I don't actually go through it step by step? Let's go for that one. Let's see, get back here. I'm still not pleased. Need more. Ah, that's okay, fish. Oops. All right. There we go. That should be good. And let's take all this trash away. And while we're here, give everything a last clean. Of course, we're going to clean it once it goes back in as well, but since we have it open, might as well. Okay, we're good. All right, now let's see what we're dealing with here. Slowly drop this in. All right, that's good. Shield. Make sure everything's falling in well. Why is the door not closing now? Ah, probably have to close it from here. The clockwise to close it. Not doing it. Oh, what am I doing wrong here? There's something wrong with it. Oh, that's good. Oh. Why is it not engaging? Okay. Let's try again. Okay, so that's not let me know because of this. How about now? Are you happy now? Can we continue? Yeah. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. I don't understand why it's not closing the lid. You know what? I'm just gonna screw this and put it in, and we'll see if it closes the lid. We'll just test it and see if we can close the lid, and then if not, we'll take it apart and look. Oh no, come on. This just isn't my lucky day. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna start on this side then. Next one. Alright, let's get these wires in where they're supposed to be. Start with this one. This one second. Oh, one of the wires is bent. Okay. That's in. That one's in. Now it goes to the main board. Okay. The other side. That's it. That's it. Okay, let's see if I can. Let's see if the lid will close. I'm gonna pass it in. No? Really? What am I missing? Probably wants to be clamped in, doesn't it? Alright. No. I don't like this. Now, this is in. It's plugged in, turned on. What's our problem here? Suspicious. Okay, what did I screw up? Let's check some connections here. Solder joints look fine. Wires look fine. Everything looks fine. What do you want from me? What's your issue? That's weird. Try again. So this one over here, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, now it started. Yeah, see, here's the problem. The lid's not. I don't like that. The lid's not closing. What did I screw up? The motor still doesn't sound great. I'm wondering if it's those capacitors. Yeah, I don't know what more sound. Okay, let's figure out what I did wrong on the door. And if while we're there, I'm also gonna maybe take the motor off and look at the capacitors on that board, see what they are, because I'm thinking maybe those need to be replaced. Actually, yeah, it's pretty obvious what I've done wrong. This needs to go in there. Okay, so this will have to be opened like that, and then I have to make sure that this pin, this pin on the door goes in there like so. And now you can, yep, there we go. Nice and smooth, yeah, but my problem is it's still making noise, right? So I don't know if I should try to get these caps. I'm wondering if this is what's failing, because the noise is not, I don't like that noise, it's not right. And there's no reason for this to make that noise. Like before, the capstan was like really dry and stuff like that. Now it's like, you know, it's got nothing. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's good. So what is that noise? What is it making it? Is it these caps? It might be. Okay, so these are 10 microfarad, 25 volts. I want to check their dimensions so I can order the correct stuff. Actually, it doesn't seem like the height doesn't seem important, honestly. It's yeah. I've got some of these, but I've got like the 10 microfarads. I've only got 16 volts, so I'm gonna need 25 apparently for this. Let me turn this on and just give them a bit of a measure. This one could work? No. I don't have any that are easily accessible. Do I have this one? Okay, diameter, okay, 6.4. And height, 5. Alright. So, you know, I'm not gonna put this back together now because I want to change these caps, so I need to order these and wait for them, and then I'll put it back together then. So another delay. Big surprise there, right, boys? Yeah. Alright. Time to pack it up. Okay, so in order to take off these SMD caps, don't try to just take them off the way they are. Don't twist them off. I've seen people on YouTube using pliers to twist them off and saying that's a good way to do it. It's not a good way to do it. You're just stressing the trace underneath it. The way to do it is you need to heat it up one leg at a time and then just slowly pry it off from one side, and then, you know, just go from one side to the other, and always add extra solder to it. Do not try to remove it with just the quantity of solder you have. Also make sure like your iron is not too cold or too hot, because as you saw in here, I started with like 310 or something like that, and that wasn't enough. So yeah, bumped it to 360, and that was just fine. Yeah, cleaning the bearings off because I was getting grease everywhere. Here I'm doing the same thing, just adding solder. Like don't worry about having too much solder on the pad or making a mess or something, because you're gonna clean that off anyway with solder wick. Just trying to get the best angles to do this. It's not the easiest thing to do, especially since I'm not used to the kind of tip that I have here. This is like a conical tip, and I really don't necessarily like this, but this is what I have to work with. Maybe I'll eventually get a better, like a chisel tip for this, but yeah, this is what it came with. This is what I'm gonna use. And now here, after you take them off, you remove the extra solder with some wick. Always use fresh wick. Like, don't try to use the part that already has solder on it, because it's not gonna absorb any more solder. You're just heating the pads for no good reason. Yeah, try and heat the pads for as little time as possible, and also not with excessive heat. But also don't let the wick harden on the pad, because then you're gonna run the very possible risk of stripping your pads. Here I'm just using some alcohol to clean up the residue from like the flux residue from the soldering. Normally you should use a brush for this, but I'm working around other components. I can't really. It's not recommended to just go in and start scrubbing, especially with the coils for the motor. And here, I got some like SMD capacitors. There's two of them that are 16 volt. They're all 10 microfarad, all the electrolytics on here. Two of them are 16 volt and the other ones are 25. So this is what I ordered. I just ordered some, you know, a kit of them from Amazon, I think it was. And here I made a little card marking the polarity of the ones that I took off. And here I just realized the errors of my ways, because initially I looked at these caps and I just thought, oh, maybe they just didn't mark the minus on them, right? But no, obviously these are non-polarized capacitors. So yeah, I didn't take this into consideration. And also, like, these have a pretty high ESR on them, so I couldn't reuse them. Not that I would have wanted to reuse something like this anyway. So yeah, what I had to do was I just used, like, the two 16 volt ones are polarized electrolytics, so I just put those in. And now, if you've never done SMD before, if you're doing it, like, you can do it with just an iron. You don't need soldering paste or any stuff like that. What you do is you just tin one of the pads. In the case of electrolytic capacitors, the positive is the one to tin, and then you just put the cap on the board. You know, you heat up the pad and you move it you slide it onto the pad while you're hitting that pad, and then you just solder the negative, and then you just go back on the positive and put some fresh solder on it, and that will do it. See, here I'm doing the same thing. I'm just sliding it on. That catches it in place. I'm just making sure it's aligned correctly. Then put some solder on the back, and then go back on the front. And there you go. That should be enough. Here I'm just making sure that it's aligned properly, because you don't want to short them. And as always, I always tin my tip before I turn off the iron. And here I'm just cleaning off the excess flux. And that's that, because I will have to wait until I get new caps. And here we are a few days later, and unfortunately I couldn't find non-polarized caps in SMD form. I do not know why. They, you know, component shortages or whatever. So yeah, I had to resort to just using regular through-hole caps and soldering them on the pads. And as you're seeing here, I'm trying to bend the pins in such a way that the caps are a bit floating over the pads, because I don't want them to short out on the case of the capacitor. So yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. I will treat them kind of like SMD. Just solder one pin and then the other. They're just making sure everything is correct. Adding a bit more solder. Don't look at my hair. And then I'm going to try it back on. And here I just realized that one of these caps actually sits under one of the flywheels, so it would never fit in that direction. If it was an SMD one, like the correct size, that wouldn't have been an issue. But now I have to desolder this, and I'm just going to use it in one of the other two positions, which are around the main capstan flywheel, and they've got sufficient space. Here I'm trying to to fit it back, make sure like everything's fine, it's not touching the flywheel, and it wasn't, so I'm just putting the extra solder in. And I'm gonna do the same with the next capacitor, just trying to see if it will clear the flywheel, and it does. So bend the pins again, cut them to the right dimensions, and putting it in. Here I was just inspecting them, and they were a bit too close to the board for my comfort, as in the pins were too close to actually the case of the cap. They weren't touching, but I decided that they needed a bit more distance there, so I just rearranged them to just make totally sure there will be no shorts. And now I'm gonna do the last one, which is the one that's supposed to be under the flywheel. So I'm just gonna do this on its side, flush with the board. I'm bending the pins for it. Just trying to get it as close to the board as possible without touching the actual bearing or the flywheel itself. I just tacked it in. And I'm test fitting it now. Just making sure it actually clears the flywheel. And it does. So now I'm properly soldering it back in. Pinning the tip. And as much as I hate using hot glue in this situation, given the fact that I'm using through-hole components in an SND configuration, and they're a lot bigger than what was supposed to be there, yeah, I will use a bit of hot glue to keep them in the correct position. The hot glue should not touch pins or pads. That's just a given, because you do not know if it's gonna become like hydroscopic or something like that, like attract moisture and then become conductive. So it's good for keeping stuff in place, but definitely don't have it over pads. So yeah, I'm just using a bit of alcohol to clean everything up. Also, alcohol and hot glue do not mix at all. The best way I found to remove hot glue is just put a bit of alcohol on it, like IPA, and it's gonna take it apart. And here I tried to apply some of it with like a stick, just so I don't have to get the gun that close to it. But eventually I just do that, and I just stacked it on one of the sides. Each cap on one of the sides, making sure again that it does not interfere with the contacts or the pads. And this turned out to be fairly solid. Like, I don't think they're gonna be moving from there anytime soon. So reapplying the grease for the bearings. And now everything's gonna go back together. Again, hold the capstan while you do this. See, as I'm doing with my fingers, so it doesn't just slam into the back. Make sure everything's in place. Oh, in here I thought I heard the scraping noise, and I'm pretty sure that was just the cable going to the sensor for the capstan or something like that, because when I put it back in, like, I didn't change anything. When I put it back in, I didn't hear it anymore. So here it goes again. Turning the capstan to make sure it's not scraping on anything. And then just screwing everything back together. Okay, here I'm putting the faceplate back on, and because I wanted to make sure everything was fine before I actually started screwing it back into that plastic again, I just used a piece of cardboard to prop it up and connect it while it's outside of the deck. Again, don't mind the hairdo, just pretend it's not there, and excuse the bad camera work. Well, that didn't help at all. Oh, just gonna have to live with it. I'm actually wondering if it's louder now than it was before. Well, I'm not happy with this. Well, let's hook it up and see what results we can get. A bit of a clean first, because I had like my greasy fingers all over this. Okay, we got some good results. Let me show you. I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, it's still noisy, but you can't argue with the performance. That's I can definitely live with that. But yeah. Much moral of the story is I just wasted a lot of time and ended up with nothing. I mean, it's still a good thing that I re-looped everything, because it was really dry, but that didn't help with the noise. I mean, obviously it being on cardboard is not helping either, but I feel like we haven't improved anything in that matter. Also, I was considering changing the pinch roller, but again, I can't really argue with that performance. It's look at this. It's pretty good. So yeah, Alright, let's assemble it. Let's put it back together. Right. Stop. Turn off the power, take this out. Is there something wrong here? What is this? Oh, that's good. Okay. There's the... Alright, so it's not really that noisy. It's about as noisy as before, maybe a bit quieter. Okay, jack's working. Put this one back in. And that's a pretty good result. Let me show you what we're talking about. I would say that's good. Okay. Sorry for the poor camera work. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, the lid's a bit dirty inside. Yeah, let's get the outside first. Pretty good. This side's a bit... Is it dirty or is it scratched? Yeah, it's definitely dirty. It's got some sticker residue, I guess, here. So it'll take a bit to get cleaned. I hope it will come off. It's coming off. Just a bit stubborn. Yeah, that'll do. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time on this because I don't care about this necessarily. If I was gonna sell this deck, yeah sure, but this, I'm never gonna sell this probably. Yeah, that'll be good enough. Okay, maybe give this a bit of clean as well, because sometimes that joint there here gets it's a bit dirty, and then when you assemble it you can see the dust in there. So yeah, perfect. Nice. I'm gonna do the back first, so it pushes it in a bit. I have an extra screw. See? Good thing I didn't start screwing it before I counted my screws, because this is from the eject mechanism, isn't it? Yep, I keep forgetting about that because like I worked a lot more on my BX626 and it doesn't have the eject mechanism like the motorized eject, so I keep forgetting about that. That's how I end up with extra screws. Okay, that's back. Good. And there you have it. Oh, actually no, you don't have it quite yet. Maybe I should take this off and give it a good clean. You know what? I will do just that. Wrong bit. Small one. Again, usually I would just wash these, but in this case I'm not that worried about perfection. I just want it to be clean. And in this case wet wipes will do. I don't have to actually go ahead and do it with like dishwater soap or anything like that. Should I do this one? Let's do it just in case. That'll do. Okay, so that goes in there. This goes here. Multiple camera angles again, but again, this is what I'm working with. And as usual, where's the last screw? Here we go. Nice and clean. Okay, everything's working fine. Oh, let me plug this back in. Can't excuse the shoddy camera work. Okay. Again, pretty good. So I don't know about results because obviously it's still noisy, so I kind of just wasted my time, I guess. But yeah, I'm wondering if I should try changing the, but I don't want to take it off. You know, I was talking about changing the pinch roller, but it seems that it's fine, I guess. Okay, this is it. How to waste a few hours of your life doing absolutely nothing.